Hey there, Tamir from Fibonaccis-Traders.com here. I hope everyone having a great weekend. Weekly market recap. Let's get started. We start with the SPY. We can see a doji below, closing below the 400 level. The 400 level is an important support resistance level for the SPY. Bulls failed to close the weekly above it. Doji. And a doji, as we know, represents a major battle between bulls and bears. And if we go back to the daily, we do have this gap here at the 380. And we can see dojis all around previous week. And we can expect that this gap here will get closed, and the sooner the better. QQQ. After 1 week of a bull run to the upside, came previous week, failed to close above the 291 area, back to the 282, and with a doji we can expect that this gap here at the 268 area will get filled. Maybe not during next week, because next week we have a short trading week, but during December, this gap, I expect it to get filled. IWM, weekly, we can see that trend lines are the true support and resistance. This trend line started at November, to the penny August 22, and to the penny previous week. Doji of a trend line, but we do have short-term higher lows. IWM also have this gap here. This gap should get filled, because more than 80% of all gaps will get filled throughout time. So let's see next week and the week after if this gap will get filled. But on the positive side, we do have short-term higher lows, which means that we are in some kind of consolidation to the upside. This trend line or this trend line will get broken. The orange one to the upside or the green one to the downside. We need to follow price and manage our risk, because we have nothing else to do except managing risk. Dow Jones on the weekly, if we go further back towards June, July of 2020, we can see, we can also from here, we can see that since April of 2020, we have this trend line here that was acting as a resistance. Then came June and July 2020, support, support, now resistance throughout May and June 22, and to the penny of August 22. So we might get all the way to the 360, 350 area, but we do have this doji here. So let's see what this doji will bring next week and the week after. Dow Jones have this small gap over here that needs to get filled on the daily. And if we go to check the supports area, we do see this trend line here to the downside that started over May 21, June 21, to the penny June 22, to the penny throughout September and October this year. Bounce. Let's see if Dow Jones can continue to pull the market to the upside towards this trend line here. By the way, a short video on why trend lines are the true support and resistance for price action to the future. Check the video, link will pop just about now on the right corner. Check it out, let me know what you think. VIX, support area, strong support area. From June of 2021, we can see it's holding, and past 2 weeks also it's holding. Now let's see, and we have also this doji here inside day after a major downtrend. I expect a bounce on the VIX at least towards 26 area, and there we might even get all the way back to the orange trend line. And if we get this bounce back to this area here, this means that the SPY, Q, IWM and Dow Jones will go to the downside. SMH, trend lines are the true support and resistance. We see here a doji after several weeks to the upside, doji of a trend line. This trend line started here. Now it's a resistance, and we might get some pullback on SMH, and SMH, same as all the rest of the indices, have this gap here, which might get filled, and the sooner the better. MJ, also trend line, rejected by the trend line to the penny. This trend line goes all the way back to February 21, to the penny November 21, to the penny here March and April, and now also got rejected, and we might get some pullback towards, we take Fibonacci, where can we get our next support? 557 is our support, breaking below, and we will see 533 and maybe even back to the 5 area. So keep your eyes on price action, follow it and manage the risk according to the Fibonacci levels and trend lines. XLU, interesting ETF to follow. We have a downtrend bounce towards the 50% area, and now we might get a continuation to the 70.80 area. And if we look further back, we do see here support, and we see here these trend lines that goes, we can do also like this one, and here from this to this high, higher high, and we even may get a bounce towards all the way. If we cross the 70.80 area, we can get a bounce all the way to this upper trend line. So keep your eyes on XLU, interesting ETF. Natural gas on the weekly, nothing really happens since the lows of October. We do have some kind of a bounce and a pullback inside week. Let's see if we can get towards the 7.30 area, or are we going back to retest the 530? And if 530 will fail to hold the support, 360 will be the next test for bulls to hold price. US 10-year, we have this wedge from December 2021. We can see the upper trend line holding as a resistance the higher highs, and we have this lower trend line holding the higher lows. Now let's see if this US 10-year yields can go to this trend line here and make a bounce. As bulls, we want this trend line to get broken to the downside, and then we can take Fibonacci to help us identify next support and resistance levels if this trend line will get broken to the downside. We can see 350 area, 326, and maybe even all the way to 2.5. Crude oil holding this trend line. This trend line helps us to identify higher lows from March of 2021, August 21, December 2021 and to the penny in September and to the penny during November. So let's see, we have here the 92 area is a very strong resistance area, because if we look left, it was a very strong support area during March and April earlier this year. Now it's a strong resistance throughout October and November. So keep your eyes on crude oil, long above the 93 and obvious short below the 80. By the way, this is not a recommendation for trading or taking any action, only for educational purposes only. So if you like this video, please subscribe, like, and hit the notification bell, because another top stocks to watch for the next week video will come up shortly. Have a great day, enjoy the rest of the weekend, and I'll see you soon.